Have you ever wondered why popcorn is the only corn that explodes into a fluffy snack when heated? After all, corn is corn, right? There are thousands of varieties grown around the world, from sweet corn and field corn to flint corn and dent corn. Yet somehow only one special type turns into the movie night treat we all know and love. What makes popcorn so unique? Why doesn't canned corn pop? Why can't you just dry out the corn from your backyard and throw it into a hot pan? The answer lies in a fascinating combination of biology, physics, and a little bit of natural engineering. Today we're going to explore why only one type of corn pops and what actually happens during that tiny edible explosion. Right here on History of Simple Things. Popcorn has been around far longer than movie theaters. Archaeologists have discovered popcorn kernels in caves in present-day New Mexico that are over 5,000 years old. Ancient peoples throughout the Americas enjoyed popcorn centuries before European explorers arrived. When Europeans first encountered Native American communities, they found popcorn being eaten, traded, and even used for decorations. By the late 1800s, popcorn became a popular street food thanks to steam-powered popcorn machines. Its popularity exploded during the Great Depression because it was cheap and filling. Then movie theaters adopted popcorn as a snack, creating a partnership that continues to this day. But despite thousands of years of cultivation, popcorn remains a surprisingly specialized type of corn. Many people think corn is just one plant with different names depending on how it's used. In reality, there are several major categories of corn, each bred for specific purposes. Sweet corn is the type most people eat on the cob. It's harvested while immature and contains high sugar levels. Dent corn, which makes up the majority of corn grown worldwide, is used for animal feed, corn syrup, ethanol, and countless industrial products. Flint corn has a hard outer shell and is often used for decorative purposes or ground into cornmeal. Then there's popcorn, scientifically classified as a special variety of flint corn. Although all these corns belong to the same species, popcorn possesses physical characteristics that the others simply don't have. The reason popcorn pops starts with its structure. Every popcorn kernel contains three critical components. First is the tough outer shell, called the pericarp. Second is the starchy interior, known as the endosperm. Third is a tiny amount of water trapped inside. Most popcorn kernels contain between 13 and 15% moisture. That may not sound like much, but it's the perfect amount needed for popping. The pericarp is the real star of the show. Compared to other corn varieties, popcorn has an unusually strong and nearly waterproof outer shell. This shell acts like a miniature pressure vessel. Without that special shell, popcorn wouldn't pop at all. When a kernel is heated, the water trapped inside begins turning into steam. Normally, steam would simply escape, but the popcorn kernel's tough shell prevents that from happening. As the temperature rises, pressure builds inside the kernel. Meanwhile, the starch within the endosperm begins to soften and transform into a gelatin-like substance. The pressure continues increasing until it reaches roughly 135 pounds per square inch, or about 9 times normal atmospheric pressure. At this point, the temperature inside the kernel can exceed 180 degrees Celsius. Eventually, the shell can no longer contain the pressure, and then, boom, the pericarp suddenly ruptures. The explosion itself is only half the story. When the shell bursts, the superheated water instantly expands into steam. The gelatinized starch is thrown outward with incredible force. As it rushes into the cooler surrounding air, the starch rapidly expands and solidifies into the fluffy white foam we recognize as popcorn. Essentially, the kernel turns itself inside out in a fraction of a second. The white part isn't the shell, it's the expanded starch from inside the kernel. The small brown pieces often attached to popped popcorn are remnants of the outer shell. It's a remarkable natural process that combines pressure cooking and instant expansion all at once. So why can't other corn varieties do the same thing? The biggest problem is their outer shells. Sweet corn and dent corn generally lack the extremely strong moisture-sealing pericarp that popcorn has. As these kernels heat up, steam escapes through microscopic weaknesses before enough pressure can build. Even if some pressure develops, it's usually nowhere near the level required for an explosive expansion. Their internal starch composition is also different. Instead of creating the fluffy foam structure characteristic of popcorn, the starch tends to collapse or simply scorch. In other words, they fail both of the key requirements, holding pressure and expanding properly. The next time you hear popcorn popping in the microwave or on the stove, remember that you're witnessing something unique in the plant world. Out of all the varieties of corn humans have cultivated, only popcorn possesses the perfect combination of a tough outer shell, the right type of starch, and just the right amount of moisture. Together, these features transform an ordinary-looking kernel into a tiny pressure cooker that literally explodes inside out. So the answer to why only one type of corn pops is surprisingly simple. Popcorn was built for it. Nature provided the blueprint, and thousands of years of cultivation perfected the design. And that's why your corn on the cob will never become movie theater popcorn. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.